The stars glittered against the void of space as the massive Imperial flagship dropped out of hyperspace near Mars' orbit. Its hull, polished to mirror finish, reflected the distant sun and dwarfed the human defense vessels that quickly moved to intercept it. Admiral James Walker stood on the bridge of the EDF Defender, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical displays. At 62, Walker had seen humanity expand from Earth to the nearby star systems, establishing colonies on 12 worlds. But this was different. "Imperial vessel is hailing us, sir," said Lieutenant Reed, her fingers dancing across the communications panel. Walker nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, slender alien with pale blue skin and 6 yellow eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern. Ambassador Trell of the Galactic Empire wore ornate robes that seemed to shift colors as he moved. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Trell's translator conveyed in perfect English. "I bring word from Emperor Vox, ruler of 70% of the known galaxy and protector of over 1,000 sentient species." Walker remained silent, his hands clasped behind his back. "The Emperor has deemed your species worthy of inclusion in the greatest civilization the universe has ever known," Trell continued. "Your world will be granted regional status, with appropriate taxation and resource allocation determined by Imperial assessment teams." "Ambassador," Walker finally spoke, "we appreciate your visit, but Earth is not interested in joining your empire." Trell's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of confusion Walker had learned from the briefings. "Perhaps I was unclear. This is not an invitation. The Emperor has decreed that all spacefaring civilizations must integrate into the Imperial structure. Your compliance is expected, not requested." Walker's jaw tightened. "We've studied your empire, Ambassador. We know what integration means. Your client worlds exist to serve Imperial needs, not their own." "Such simplistic understanding," Trell said. "The Empire brings order, technology, and protection. Your species has only achieved interstellar travel in the last century. You are barely beyond primitive. And yet here we are, having this conversation," Walker replied. Trell's posture stiffened. "You have one standard cycle to prepare for Imperial assessment teams. Resistance would be inadvisable." His tone carried the weight of countless conquered worlds. Walker pressed a button on his command console. "Actually, Ambassador, I've been authorized to deliver Earth's official response to the Empire." A slight smile crossed his face as he uploaded the document to the Imperial ship. Trell's eyes shifted focus, presumably reading the transmission. "This is preposterous," Trell said, his composure cracking. "A formal ban. You cannot ban the Galactic Empire from Earth's space." "We just did," Walker replied simply. "As of this moment, all Imperial vessels are prohibited from entering Earth-controlled space. Violation of this ban will be met with defensive measures." Trell's laughter echoed through the bridge. "With what? Your primitive ships, your basic energy weapons. The Empire controls technology you cannot even comprehend." Walker remained calm. "Perhaps, but we suggest you depart immediately. This ban takes effect now." "You will regret this foolishness," Trell hissed. "The Empire does not tolerate defiance." "Neither does Earth," Walker said, and signaled Reed to cut the transmission. As the screen went dark, Walker turned to his crew. "Activate the grid." Throughout the solar system, hidden platforms that had been placed over the last decade hummed to life. Energy fields stretched between them, creating an invisible web around Earth and its colonies. On the Imperial vessel, alarms began to sound. Trell rushed to the bridge as sensors detected massive energy spikes throughout the system. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Unknown technology activating across the system," an Imperial officer reported. "It appears to be some kind of defense grid." Trell stared at the sensor readings in disbelief. The supposedly primitive humans had just deployed a system-wide defense network unlike anything the Empire had catalogued before. "Return to Imperial space," he ordered, his voice tight with rage. The Emperor must be informed of this unexpected development. As the Imperial ship turned and vanished into hyperspace, Walker watched from the Defender's viewport. "And so it begins," he murmured to himself. Emperor Vox slammed his fist on the holographic table, causing the display of Earth's solar system to flicker. Around him, his military advisors flinched at the rare display of Imperial rage. "These humans dare to ban us," he growled, his purple skin darkening with anger. "A species barely out of their atmospheric cradles thinks they can dictate terms to the Empire." Commander Drell stepped forward, his battle-scarred face set in grim determination. "My Emperor, allow me to lead the response. One battle group will be sufficient to teach these primitives their place." Vox studied the commander. Drell had conquered 17 worlds for the Empire. His tactics were brutal but effective. "Very well," the Emperor said. "Take the third battle group. Make an example of them." 3 days later, 5 massive Imperial warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. The Imperial dreadnought Inevitable Victory led the formation, flanked by 4 heavy cruisers. Drell stood on the command deck, watching as his sensors scanned the system ahead. "Commander," his tactical officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings throughout the system, similar to the report from Ambassador Trell." "Primitive defensive measures," Drell dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Push forward at full thrust. Target their orbital defenses first, then their major cities. Standard conquest protocol." The battle group advanced deeper into the system. As they passed the orbit of Neptune, a transmission reached them. "Imperial vessels," a calm human voice stated, "you are violating Earth's ban on your presence in our space. This is your only warning. Reverse course immediately." Drell laughed. "Send our response," he ordered. The tactical officer nodded, firing warning salvos now. Energy beams lanced from the lead ships, deliberately missing Earth's outer defense platforms by mere kilometers, a show of precision and power meant to intimidate. "Now," the officer on Earth's Defense Command Center said. At this signal, the defense grid fully activated. A wave of energy passed through the system, invisible except for the effect it had on the Imperial ships. Their engines suddenly sputtered, and the hyperspace generators that would allow them to escape went completely dark. On the Inevitable Victory, alarms blared. "What's happening?" Drell demanded. "Sir, we've lost FTL capability," his engineer reported, panic in his voice. "Some kind of field is disrupting our drive systems. We're limited to conventional engines only." Drell's expression hardened. "Then we fight conventionally. Their technology is inferior. Forward all ships, maximum conventional speed. Prepare all weapons." The Imperial formation pressed forward, now moving at a fraction of their previous speed. As they approached Mars orbit, they encountered the first line of Earth's defenses. Small, seemingly outdated human ships appeared from behind Mars moons. These vessels were a quarter the size of Imperial cruisers, with minimal armor and what appeared to be simple projectile weapons. "Laughable," Drell said. "Target and eliminate." The Imperial ships fired their energy cannons, but something unexpected happened. The human vessels moved with incredible agility, their pilots pulling maneuvers that would kill any Imperial species due to G-forces. "They're too fast," the tactical officer shouted as the human ships evaded nearly every shot. Then the humans returned fire. Instead of energy beams, they launched what looked like primitive missiles. "Intercept those projectiles," Drell ordered calmly. The Imperial point defense systems activated, destroying most of the incoming missiles. But those that got through struck with unexpected force, their conventional explosives enhanced by something the sensors couldn't identify. One cruiser listed badly after taking 3 direct hits. "Impossible," Drell whispered as more human ships appeared, launching from hidden bases on Mars and its moons. For 20 minutes, the battle raged. Imperial technology, superior in every measurable way, was being countered by human ingenuity and tactics. The humans fought like nothing Drell had ever seen, unpredictable, adaptable, and seemingly fearless. "Sir, we've lost 2 cruisers," his second-in-command reported. "The other 2 are heavily damaged. Our shields are at 40%. Drell stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half his battle group destroyed by a species that had only achieved space travel a century ago. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "Get us out of this system." As the remaining Imperial ships limped away, Drell knew that Emperor Vox would not be pleased. But more than that, he knew the Empire faced something unprecedented. These humans weren't just defiant. They were dangerous. Dr. Nera hunched over her workspace, surrounded by holographic projections of human physiology, Earth's ecosystem, and historical data recovered from intercepted transmissions. As the Empire's leading xenoanthropologist, she had been tasked with finding an explanation for the humiliating defeat at Earth. 3 weeks of analysis, she muttered to herself, and still no clear answer. The laboratory door slid open with a soft hiss. Emperor Vox himself entered, flanked by 2 elite guards. Nera immediately dropped to one knee. "Rise, Doctor," the Emperor commanded. "I tire of waiting. What have you discovered about these humans?" Nera stood and gestured to her workstation. "My Emperor, I believe I've identified why humans present such an unusual challenge. They should not exist." Vox's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Earth is what we would classify as a death world," Nera said, bringing up images of Earth's diverse environments. Extreme temperature variations, areas of intense radiation, tectonic instability, deadly storms, and over 100,000 species that can kill or harm humans. She displayed more data. Their evolutionary path is marked by multiple near-extinction events. By all logic, they should have died out millions of years ago. Yet they live, Vox said flatly. "More than live, Your Magnificence. They thrived under conditions that would drive most species to extinction." Nera's voice carried a hint of scientific wonder. "And their relationship with technology is unlike anything we've seen." She pulled up comparative displays showing Imperial technology alongside human equivalents. Imperial philosophy of technology follows the universal path. We create increasingly complex systems that replace biological functions and limitations. Our ships think for themselves. Our weapons aim themselves. We pursue perfection through technological replacement. The Emperor nodded impatiently. "This is known. Get to your point." "Humans don't follow this path," Nera said, highlighting Earth weapon systems. "They create technology that extends their capabilities rather than replaces them. Their ships require human pilots making moment-by-moment decisions. Their weapons need human operators." "That's primitive," Vox scoffed. "With respect, it's not primitive. It's different," Nera countered. "What we saw as outdated technology is actually perfectly engineered to complement human biology and psychology." She showed battle footage from the failed invasion. "Look here. Their pilots pull maneuvers that would kill any Imperial species. Our medical scans show humans can withstand G-forces that would rupture our internal organs. They've built ships specifically to take advantage of this." Nera switched to another display. "And their decision-making during battle doesn't follow predictable patterns. Imperial tactical computers couldn't anticipate their moves because humans deliberately introduce randomness and intuitive leads." The Emperor paced around the lab, considering her words. "So their advantage is biological, not technological." "It's the integration of both," Nara explained. "While we replace our natural limitations with technology, humans enhance their natural strengths. They've embraced their evolutionary trauma rather than trying to escape it." She showed one final display, a historical timeline of Earth. "And they've been tested repeatedly. Wars, plagues, climate disasters. Each time, they adapted and came back stronger. The Empire has never faced a species forged by such constant adversity." Vox stood silent for a long moment. "And their defense grid, the technology that disabled our hyperdrives. That remains a mystery, Nara admitted. But I suspect it follows the same philosophy. Technology designed to complement human strengths while targeting our specific weaknesses. Can we counteract it? Nara hesitated, not without understanding it better. We need more information. The Emperor's expression darkened. Then we shall get it. Prepare a briefing for Special Forces Command. If we cannot conquer these humans directly, we shall infiltrate them. As the Emperor left, Nara returned to her studies, a feeling of unease growing within her. For the first time in her career, she found herself wondering if the Empire had finally met a species it could not subjugate through superior technology alone. On her screen, the image of Earth rotated slowly, a blue world with swirling white clouds, home to creatures that by all rights should never have survived their own planet, let alone challenged a galactic empire. Agent Krell adjusted his artificial skin in the mirror of his small apartment in New Denver. After 3 months on Earth, he still wasn't used to the feeling of looking human. The Imperial bioengineering team had done impressive work, crafting disguises that could fool most scanners, and casual observation. They had even adjusted his internal organs to match human biological patterns. Final check, he whispered to himself, running through the identity they had created for him. Thomas Reed, systems engineer, recently transferred from the European sector. His backstory was flawless, inserted into Earth databases through careful hacking. His communicator vibrated. A primitive device, but necessary to blend in. Team meeting in 30 minutes. The message read. Krell left his apartment and walked through the busy streets. Earth still disoriented him. The crush of humans everywhere, the chaotic architecture, the bewildering variety of foods and smells. Most Imperial worlds were carefully planned, with distinct zones for different activities. Earth was a jumble, as if humans enjoyed disorder. He entered a coffee shop where 3 other disguised Imperial agents waited. His infiltration team, each placed in strategic positions within Earth's defense infrastructure. Any progress? Asked Mira, their tech specialist who had secured a position in Earth's communications division. Krell shook his head. I've been working in the defense grid maintenance for 12 weeks. I still haven't seen anything that explains how they disabled our hyperdrives. Same in weapons development, said Bren. They're weapons expert. Their technology shouldn't work as well as it does. It's like they're breaking their own physical laws. The 4th member of their team, Vex, remained silent. She worked in Earth's cultural archives, studying human history for weaknesses they could exploit. We're running out of time, Krell said quietly. Imperial Command expects results. I might have something, Vex finally spoke. I've been studying their military history. Humans have a pattern of technological leaps during times of threat. They hold back capabilities until they need them. You think they have more surprises waiting? Mira asked. I'm certain of it, Vex replied. And there's something else. They seem to enjoy being underestimated. Krell contemplated this as he sipped the bitter coffee humans seemed addicted to. Over the past months, he had found himself developing an uncomfortable respect for these creatures. They were chaotic, yes, but also endlessly creative. Where Imperial citizens specialized narrowly, humans seemed to value generalists who could adapt to changing circumstances. I have access to a restricted sector tomorrow, Krell said. I'll place the data siphons and see what we can learn about their defense grid. The next day, Krell entered the supposedly secure area of the defense headquarters. His forged credentials worked perfectly. Inside, he found banks of surprisingly simple-looking computers, no levitating holographic displays like Imperial technology, just flat screens and manual interfaces. He carefully placed tiny data collection devices where they wouldn't be noticed and began accessing terminals, downloading whatever information he could find. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Security breach in Section 7, announced a calm voice over the speakers. Krell froze, then forced himself to act casual. His cover was solid, but as he turned to leave, he found himself surrounded by armed security officers. Thomas Reed, said a tall woman with commander insignia, or should I say, Agent Krell of Imperial Special Forces. Krell's blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. There's been a mistake. The commander smiled. No mistake. We've been aware of your team since you arrived. In fact, we've been feeding you carefully selected information. With growing horror, Krell realized the truth. You knew we were coming. Of course we did, she replied. The Empire always sends infiltrators after a military defeat. It's what we would do. As they led him away, Krell saw his team members also being brought in, all captured simultaneously. How? He asked simply. The commander looked at him with something like pity. You study our technology, but not our people. Humans trust their instincts. Several workers reported that you felt wrong to them. No scans needed. Krell realized that the Empire had made a critical mistake. They had sent agents disguised as humans, but unable to think like humans. Against any other species, their infiltration would have succeeded. But these unpredictable, adaptable creatures had spotted the imposters through means no Imperial training could counter. As the door to his cell closed, Krell wondered what other miscalculations the Empire was making about Earth. Emperor Vox's throne room fell silent as he read the report of the failed infiltration mission. His advisors kept their distance, having learned that bearers of bad news often met unfortunate ends. Every attempt, Vox said quietly, his voice more dangerous than if he had shouted, every single attempt to deal with these humans has failed. He rose from his throne, his tall figure casting a long shadow across the polished floor. Prepare the Grand Imperial Fleet, he commanded. All of it. His military commander stepped forward hesitantly. Your Magnificence, the entire fleet. That would leave our core worlds with reduced protection. The greatest threat to our empire is not from within, but from these humans, Vox replied coldly. I will not allow a primitive species to defy us. If they will not join us, they will be eliminated. Word of the Empire's massive military buildup spread quickly throughout the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral Walker stood before the United Earth Council, delivering his assessment. The Empire is mobilizing for a full-scale assault, he reported. Our intelligence suggests they'll deploy planet-killer weapons. This won't be about conquest anymore. They mean to destroy us completely. President Anna Miller, a former military officer herself, studied the projections. Can our defense grid hold against their entire fleet? Not alone, Walker admitted, but we're not alone anymore. He gestured, and the display changed to show several other star systems. Since our successful defense, 7 other independent worlds have reached out. They've been watching, and they're impressed. They want to join us. The Forbidden System Coalition, said one council member, reading the proposed alliance name. The Empire calls us the Forbidden System, Walker replied with a slight smile. We might as well own it. 3 weeks later, the largest space battle in galactic history began at the edge of Earth's solar system. The Imperial Armada darkened space itself. Over 500 warships, led by the Emperor's personal flagship, Eternal Dominion. Facing them was the newly formed coalition fleet, smaller with mixed technology from 8 different worlds, but united by a common cause and human tactical leadership. All ships maintained defensive formation. Admiral Walker commanded from the bridge of the EDF Defender. Let them come to us. The Imperial fleet advanced cautiously this time, staying outside the range of Earth's mysterious defense grid. Their first wave launched long-range planet-killer missiles, massive projectiles designed to penetrate planetary crusts and detonate at the core. They're not even trying to conquer us now, Walker's second-in-command observed grimly. Just elimination. Walker nodded. Activate the graviton array. Throughout the solar system, hidden stations powered up. These were Earth's ultimate defense, developed in secret over decades. Technology that could manipulate gravity itself. As the planet-killer missiles crossed into the outer solar system, they suddenly veered off course. The space around them warped visibly, Light bending as localized gravity fields thousands of times Earth's normal pull formed directly in their path. Artificial black holes, gasped an Imperial science officer as he watched the sensors. They've created artificial black holes. The missiles were caught in the immense gravitational fields, unable to escape. Some were torn apart by tidal forces, others simply disappeared beyond event horizons. Emperor Vox watched in disbelief from his command deck. Impossible. No species has mastered gravity manipulation at this level. The humans have, his science advisor said simply. The Emperor's face contorted with rage. All ships, advance. Full attack pattern. The Imperial Armada surged forward, only to encounter the same fate as their missiles. Carefully positioned gravity wells appeared throughout their formation, capturing or destroying dozens of ships in the first minute of engagement. The coalition fleet moved in, targeting Imperial ships disoriented by the sudden gravitational changes. Walker's innovative tactics, using smaller, more agile vessels to outmaneuver the larger Imperial warships, proved devastatingly effective. Within 2 hours, a third of the Imperial fleet was destroyed or disabled. The Emperor's flagship itself was surrounded, its engines damaged by precisely targeted strikes. "Your Magnificence," his admiral pleaded, "we must withdraw. Their technology exceeds our understanding." For the first time in his long reign, Emperor Vox faced the possibility of defeat. As he watched another wave of his ships vanish into the humans' gravity weapons, he made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. "Send the signal," he ordered bitterly. Request. Negotiations. On Earth, celebrations began as news of the Imperial retreat spread. Humanity had stood against the greatest power in the galaxy, and the galaxy had blinked first. The lunar diplomatic facility gleamed under Earth's light, a neutral ground chosen for the most significant peace talks in galactic history. Inside the main chamber, two delegations faced each other across a simple table made of polished lunar stone. President Anna Miller led Earth's team, her military background evident in her straight posture and clear, evaluating gaze. With her stood Admiral Walker, Dr. Martin from Earth's Science Division, and representatives from the 7 allied worlds that formed the Forbidden System Coalition. The Imperial delegation entered with practiced ceremony. Emperor Vox himself had not come, a face-saving gesture, but had sent Grand Diplomat Rez, a being of such high rank that he rarely dealt with lesser species. Behind him stood military and scientific advisors, including Dr. Nera, who couldn't hide her curiosity about the humans. "We recognize the delegation from the Galactic Empire," President Miller said formally. "Welcome to Luna." Grand Diplomat Rez inclined his head slightly. "The Empire acknowledges Earth and its associates." His translator conveyed the slight condescension perfectly. "Let's be direct," Miller said, setting the tone immediately. "Your military options have failed. We seek peaceful coexistence, not continued conflict." "Peace can be arranged," Rez replied smoothly. "The Empire is generous to those who show proper respect for the galactic order." Admiral Walker leaned forward. "Respect is earned, not demanded. Your fleet couldn't penetrate our defenses even at full strength." A flicker of anger crossed Rez's face. "Temporary tactical advantages do not change the fundamental reality. The Empire spans thousands of worlds. Your coalition is 8. Quality over quantity," Miller replied with a thin smile. "Now, to terms. We propose a formal recognition of Earth space and our allied systems as sovereign territory, free from Imperial influence." Rez laughed, a musical sound lacking any genuine humor. "Impossible. However, the Emperor might consider granting your world special autonomous status within the Imperial framework." "Not acceptable," Miller stated flatly. Second term. The Empire acknowledges the ban on Imperial vessels in Earth-controlled space. You expect us to accept your no-entry zone. Rez's voice rose slightly. "What gives you the right?" Miller's expression hardened. "The same right you claimed when conquering 1,000 worlds, the ability to enforce it." Silence fell across the room. The Imperial delegation whispered among themselves, clearly unprepared for such directness. Finally, Dr. Nera spoke, addressing her own delegation. They have demonstrated this ability. Denial serves no purpose. Rez shot her a warning look before turning back to the humans. We might consider limited recognition of territorial sovereignty, provided you share the technology that defeated our fleet. Miller and Walker exchanged glances. That brings us to a crucial point, Miller said. We are prepared to share certain technologies for peaceful purposes. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, clean energy. But our defense systems remain our own. Unacceptable, Rez snapped. The Empire must have access to your gravity manipulation technology. Dr. Martin, Earth's lead scientist, spoke for the first time. You misunderstand our advantage. It isn't superior technology alone. Explain, demanded the Imperial Science Advisor. Your empire follows a linear path of technological development, replacing biological limitations with artificial solutions, Martin explained. Humans integrate technology with our natural abilities. Our gravity systems work because they're designed to be operated by human minds that think differently than your AI systems. Dr. Nera nodded with unexpected enthusiasm. Exactly as I theorized. Your advantage is biomechanical integration, not the technology itself. Rez looked confused. You claim your weapons would not function for us. They would function differently, Martin clarified. Less effectively. Our defense grid is tuned to human neural patterns. The interface would reject most non-human operators. The negotiations continued for 3 days. Gradually, the Imperial delegation came to accept that they could not simply take what made Earth powerful. It wasn't hardware or software that could be copied. It was the unique human approach to technology. On the final day, Rez reluctantly placed his seal on the treaty document. The Empire recognizes the sovereignty of Earth and its allied systems, he announced formally. We acknowledge the no-entry zone and agree to diplomatic and limited trade relations. As the Imperial delegation departed, Admiral Walker stood beside President Miller, watching their ship leave lunar orbit. They'll try again, he said quietly. Different approach, same goal. Miller nodded. Of course they will. But next time, we'll be stronger, and they'll be more cautious. For the first time, in thousands of years, the Galactic Empire had been forced to compromise. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the historic Luna Treaty, Admiral Walker stood in Earth's new Galactic Command Center. Around him, massive screens displayed real-time information from across known space. The largest showed the boundaries of what was now officially recognized as the Forbidden Zone, Earth's solar system, and its 7 allied systems. Status report, Walker requested, his voice carrying the weight of recent victories, but also new responsibilities. Lieutenant Reed approached with a datapad. The Imperial observation posts remain at the treaty-specified distance. Trade ships from non-Imperial worlds have increased by 300%, and we've received diplomatic requests from 12 more independent systems seeking possible alliance. Walker nodded, unsurprised. News traveled quickly through the galaxy. Earth's successful defiance of the Empire had sent shockwaves through civilized space. And the Empire? He asked. Officially complying with all treaty terms, Reed reported. Unofficially, we've detected increased activity in their military research divisions. Dr. Nera has been promoted to lead a new department studying human technology integration methods. Walker smiled slightly. Good luck to her. Some things can't be replicated in a laboratory. Across the room, the doors slid open to admit President Miller. The months since the treaty had etched new lines in her face, but her eyes remained sharp and determined as ever. Madam President, Walker greeted her with a nod. Admiral, she replied, joining him at the central display. Quite a change from when I took office. Back then, our biggest concern was establishing colonies on Proxima Centauri. They studied the galactic map together, noting the shifting political boundaries. The once solid Imperial territory now showed fracture lines where subject worlds had begun questioning their allegiance. The Trilaxian sector is formally petitioning for independence, Miller noted, pointing to a distant region. They've cited our treaty as precedent. Walker wasn't surprised. The Empire maintained control through fear and technological superiority. We shattered both illusions. Emperor Vox won't take this lying down, Miller said. Our intelligence suggests he's facing internal challenges for the first time in his 2-century reign. A junior officer approached nervously. Admiral, Madam President, we've just received a transmission from Imperial Ambassador Trell. He's requesting permission to enter Earth space for a diplomatic meeting. Walker and Miller exchanged significant looks. Trell, the same ambassador who had delivered the Empire's ultimatum at the beginning of this conflict. Permission granted, Miller decided, with standard security protocols. 3 days later, Trell stood in the presidential office, his 6 yellow eyes taking in the simple but elegant Earth furnishings. He seemed diminished somehow, less arrogant than during his first visit. Ambassador, Miller greeted him coolly. This is unexpected. These are unexpected times, Trell replied. I bring a personal message from Emperor Vox. He handed over a small data crystal. Miller inserted it into her secure reader, and a holographic message appeared. The Emperor's image looked directly at Miller. President of Earth, you have won a temporary advantage through surprising technology and unusual tactics. Enjoy your moment of fame. The Empire has stood for 10,000 years. We will absorb this setback as we have all others. Remember that the stars you see from your world all shine within my domain. As the message ended, Miller smiled slightly. He still doesn't understand, does he? The Emperor sees the galaxy through Imperial eyes, Trell admitted. But others are beginning to see differently. Your coalition represents something new. Independence without isolation. Strength without conquest. Walker, who had been silent until now, spoke up. And what do you see, Ambassador? Trell seemed surprised by the question. I see change. For better or worse, the galaxy is entering a new age. The Empire will adapt or it will fracture. After Trell departed, Miller and Walker stood at the window overlooking the rebuilt skyline of New Washington, where humans from all Earth nations worked alongside visitors from allied worlds. What now? Miller asked, looking at the stars appearing in the evening sky. Walker studied the same view. Now we prepare. The treaty bought us time, but not endless time. We build stronger alliances, develop new technologies, train more crews. The Empire will return, one way or another. And when they do, Walker smiled confidently. They'll find that humans don't stand still. We banned them once when we were weaker. Imagine what we'll do next time. On a distant screen behind them, the galactic map continued to change, reflecting a universe where a single defiant act by one small planet had begun to reshape the order of 1,000 stars. Earth had not just survived, it had changed the rules of the game.